Politics, commentary, entertainment, sports, news, and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Malzberg panel. And before we get to it, I want to ask you a question. We'll be asking you this question throughout the show and giving you a chance to weigh in. Do you think the President of the United States should be impeached? Well, whether you do or you don't, I want you to go to Newsmax.com/Obama poll. That's Newsmax.com/Obama poll and vote. We would love to hear from you. And joining us right now on the Malzberg panel, retired Major General in the U.S. Army and founder of Stand Up America, Paul E. Vallely, and founder and CEO of Red Mind Solutions, Frank Wuco. Gentlemen, I want to welcome you both aboard, and I want to start with the horrific news out of Afghanistan today, where a U.S. Army Major General was killed by an Afghani soldier. That soldier has reportedly been shot. It was close range, the killing of our general, and it was the highest ranking officer, I believe, to die in all the time we've been in Afghanistan. And General Vallely, let me ask you to respond to that.
Well, very sad occurrence again, and this is a number of the what they call the green on blue assassinations and killing and wounding of U.S. soldiers. And so about 15 were wounded. This was a British-run training academy, Steve, and they call it the Sandhurst in the Sand over there. But again, it comes back to a decision that was made a couple years ago that Karzai's forces have to do the vetting. We can't do it anymore. And so this is written up in a book I endorse called The Clapper Files by Bob McCarty. And he goes into detail how we were taken out of the vetting and clearance process. And so that's why they get in under the wire. And again, this was the occurrence, they said, created by an argument. So that's the latest I have on it.
And Frank, with the circumstances being as described by the general, how do you prevent these things from happening? There had been a rash of them. They've dropped sharply since 2012 when we had dozens of these kinds of incidents.
Sure. Well, the way that you avoid it really is you would just have to completely disengage from these types of close quarters, environments and training operations. A lot of it has to do. It's a kind of the perfect storm, head-on collision between, Afghan culture, which is, it's an extremely prideful culture where the men are concerned, and then you've got the underlying element of Islam, and from the Islamic standpoint, the training and the assistance and the aid that we are providing to, people in Afghanistan, we provided to people in Iraq. If the Islamists get to carry on the argument, then they've got nothing to be grateful for, because in their mind, in their eye, God gave them all of this great training. He just happened to use the Americans to do it. And then when you add to that some of the overriding male culture within that part of the world, and an argument erupts, or there is some sort of frustration with the Afghan forces, these guys will think nothing of wasting one of their American or British counterparts. So it's
I was going to say, I'm
not
sorry.
a good situation.
Right. No, it's not, Frank. And General, when we see this happen even on our own soil here with Nadal Hassan, for instance, and of course the shooting subsequently in D.C. at the naval facility, I guess, especially if you're talking about being in Afghanistan, being overseas, it's just, all that much harder to prevent it.
Well, it's very difficult. That's why Americans, if we have forces there, just like the British and the Germans, and the other part of the ISAF forces there, you have got to control your own security. I would not leave any security of any American forces without a complete vetting of who gets in and who gets near them, especially with the track record over there of these green on blues. And we're too nice. We're not standing up for and providing that security for the American forces so they get in. I understand they've even been in some of the conference centers there. But the vetting process by the Karzai government is not very good and hasn't been. And that's what Bob McCarty covers in detail on the Clapper memos that he wrote. So, again, we're bending over backwards to coalesce and be friends and all that. But this is a war zone. Security has to be at its highest all the time.
Frank, do we know, do you suspect, and does it really matter if this was a lone soldier, jihadist, or whatever, or a member of the Taliban?
You know, I think this is one of these things right now. As soon as an incident like this happens, especially with a high-ranking officer, you know, this is immediately thrown into the investigative arena. So it's probably going to take a few days to find out exactly what happened. But it could be, in most cases, I hate to say it, but it is like I said, it's a perfect storm combination of, you know, some sort of emotional event, some sort of animosity, the underlying culture of, you know, whether it's Afghanistani culture, Pashto culture, you know, very sort of machismo, you know, culture, and then you've got, you know, if there's a Taliban or other sort of Islamist twist, you've got that element as well. So it really is a worst-case scenario for us to be doing, as General Vallely says, turning over the keys to the car to the locals to run vetting and security on our forces.
And General, briefly before we head to the break, to what do you attribute the decline in these kinds of attacks? Is it just because they know we're getting out, or what?
Well, I think there's probably fewer opportunities, of course, as we've drawn down the forces there. And that's the problem of leaving any forces over there that can't be properly secured. So I think with that, and I think probably they've upped security. I know that, but it's not clear to the point yet that the security is where it needs to be because of the vetting by the Karzai people, which I would not trust at all to vet some of these crazies out to get into the ranks there.
All right, stay where you are, gentlemen. We'll come back with part 2 of the Malzberg panel. But first, stay tuned for your Newsmax Now update. And if you want to hit us and reach us on social media, here's how you can do it. Just watch.